We're seeing new reports tonight about another possible consequence of the healthcare overhaul. While media outlets continue to dig into the issue of losing your plan or losing your doctor, you can see this cover here from the Cincinnati Enquirer. We are now hearing that you may also be losing your prescription drug coverage, or at least finding it much more expensive. Dr. Scott Gottlieb is a practicing physician and former senior policy advisor to the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. Doctor, good to see you again.
Thanks.
And so why is this a concern about possibly losing or seeing a sharp uptick in the costs under your prescription drug coverage?
Well, there's two issues. One is that the copays on the drugs are very high. So on average, they're about 40% that you're going to have to pay on branded drugs compared to about 25% in the private sector. But the bigger issue is that the formularies, the list of drugs that the plans cover, in many cases aren't very long. And if the drugs aren't covered, then you're on your own. You basically have to pay for it entirely out of pocket. And the money that you spend on those drugs doesn't count against your out-of-pocket limits, and it won't count against your deductible. This could cost patients with special conditions, patients who need special drugs, a lot of money, literally tens of thousands of dollars a year.
I know you referenced a drug that is commonly used to treat multiple sclerosis,
right.
Copaxone?
Right. This was a plan in North Carolina that I looked at where a lot of specialty drugs, drugs for rheumatoid arthritis, drugs for multiple sclerosis, were not in the formulary, which means that patients would have to pay for those entirely out of pocket on their own. This is very different than what happens right now in commercial insurance. In commercial insurance, if a drug isn't on your formulary, typically there'll be co-insurance, meaning that you'll be responsible for some of the costs, but the plan will pick up some of the costs as well. And it will also count against your out-of-pocket limits and your deductible. In this case, it doesn't count against your out-of-pocket limits or your deductible, so literally the sky's the limit on how much it can cost you.
On this morning's Money Watch, cutting expenses. Just because the government cannot figure out how to trim spending does not mean this has to be hard for you as well. Here with some surprising ways to lower your personal debt ceiling is CBS Money Watch contributor Farnoosh Torabi. Farnoosh, always good to see you. Thanks for coming in.
Always good to see you.
All right, let's get right to it.
All right.
It's
yes.
right there. Prescription medications, always dicey, but you said there's good ways to save money here.
Again, by going online. There are a growing number of websites that will actually bid for your business. All you need is a doctor's prescription. You go onto a site like bidrx.com or pillbid.com. You tell them what you need. They will give you a list of pharmacies in your neighborhood that will offer you that drug at competing prices. And so you just go there and choose. And BidRx will actually go the extra mile and tell you what generic versions are available for the drug that you want. Check with your doctor, but you can save about 50% going the generic route. The average brand name prescription drug in this country costs $1,400 a year. So slash that in half. Using a site like BidRx, save $700 a year.
Okay, let's talk about the telephone.